You probably heard these statements before. If I win the lottery, I would be one of the happiest persons on earth. If I had another job, I think I would feel much better about myself. And if only I could buy that dream house, I would be so happy. You probably made one of these statements yourself, not realizing that you were telling yourself half truths, because real lasting happiness is not created from external circumstances, at least not most of the times, right? We have the ability to set our own happiness thermostat where we control our happiness. And this has been proven by a study which says that 50% of our happiness was given to us at birth. It's genetic. 40% is as a result of our daily actions, our mindsets, and our habits. And a small 10% is as a result of external factors. And this was proven by an experiment with thousands of identical twins where they were separated and placed in different environments. So some of the twins were living in peaceful suburban areas, others were in hectic, noisy cities, others were in dysfunctional homes, and some were in very peaceful, functional homes. And after many years, they brought the twins back together. And what was remarkable is that the twins had the same level of happiness, endorsing that 50% of our happiness has been given to us at birth. Now, in this episode, what I will share with you is that 40% of the daily actions that you could use to boost and sustain your happiness starting right now. And at the end of this video, I would like you to create your own happiness system. But there's one thing I want us to pay attention to, right? You know, when your supervisor gives you that nice compliment and tell you you're such a great team player, you did so well in the project and he's proud of you, you smile and you're happy. Or your friend says to you, you're losing weight and you look so beautiful now that you're losing the weight, and you feel happy again. You're smiling ear to ear. But about 3 days after you got all of those compliments, you forget the compliment. You go right back to the mood that you were in before you got those compliments. Why? Because that external compliment, that external happiness, it's only temporary. It is a spike. It is not the source. All right. So why we keep chasing that 10%, and that has to do with the dopamine effect. But I want us to get into that 40% of our daily actions. And then later on, I would show you how that dopamine trap have us chasing that external happiness. Yes? So let's look at 5 things that we could start doing right now to create our own happiness, right? Active gratitude, where we pay attention to the abundance of things that we have been blessed with. A lot of times where we go wrong is that we focus on the things that we don't have, because right now where you are, I am sure you have a lot to be grateful for. The mere fact that you can listen to this podcast, you have your hearing, that is a blessing. That is something to be grateful for. Or if you are looking at me on the screen, you're not blind, you could see me. If you're sitting on a chair, you have a chair to sit on, you have a roof over your head. Pay attention to these things and actively be grateful, and you would realize that you're creating your own peace and your happiness just by being grateful. The other thing is acts of kindness. When you do kind things, there are some neurotransmitters in your brain. You have the serotonin, the dopamine, and the oxytocin. We call that the happiness cocktail. What it does, it enhances your mood, and you actually start feeling happy when you do good things. So pick up the phone, call a good friend that you didn't talk to for a long time. No text. everything now is texted, right? No, let the person hear your voice. Call that person and have a nice conversation with them. And just the person being so happy and surprised to hear your voice gives you joy. All right. So that's another thing that you could do to sustain your happiness. Self compassion. Look at what you say to yourself when you did something wrong. We are our biggest critics, right? Something happened that you should not have done, and you start saying all of these things to yourself. Why are you so stupid? Why you should do something like that? You should be ashamed of what you did. No, 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 no. You have to be your own cheerleader. Flip the script. Start talking very positive things to yourself. You know what? You did something wrong, but that's okay. You are human. To err is human. The next time, just do X, Y, and Z. As I said, you have to be your own cheerleader. If not, if you keep telling yourself negative things, what will happen? You'll dull your mood, you'll dull your spirit, and that's not going to help you. Exercising is another one. My friend told me she's been doing these 5Ks and how she's so proud of her accomplishment, and she just loves to run because when you run, you release something called endorphins, and it gives you that kind of energy and you really feel better about yourself. My darling niece, she has been doing these 10Ks and she boasts and call me auntie. I feel so good, right? So these are things that you can engage in to make yourself stay happy and be at peace. And then lastly, positive social relationships. Very, very important, right? When you have emotional support, you have friends that you could go to and talk to, you get reassurance. If for some reason you might be experiencing something, but you have that love and support of the people around you, you find that your stress levels go down, your anxiety goes down, right? So all of these things will help you to sustain your happiness. And you might say those simple things, yes, start practicing it and you would realize you're not on the chase for the next big thing. And that takes me right into the dopamine effect. What dopamine really does, it drives the anticipation of you getting a reward. And let me simplify it for you with an example. You may want to buy a car, and just the thought of you purchasing this beautiful car, the interior red leather, the sunroof, the car parking itself, right? Four-wheel drive, all of it, just thinking about it and anticipating the excitement and the focus that you will get this car. That is what making you think that you're happy, but it's not really happiness, It's a kind of drive. It's like a high. So you keep chasing it. When you buy the car, within a month, the car in the garage. When the car payments start coming in, you might even be angry that you bought that type of car, right? Because really the thrill is in the chase, not the catch, right? You're thinking about the lovely house, the mansion that you want. You get the mansion, and now after what? A month or 2 months, you start complaining, this house is so huge, I need to get people to help me. But when you were getting the closing cost and you were going and see them building up the house and step by step they're doing different things, oh, you love it. You were really looking forward and you think that you were happy then. Nope, you were not happy. Is that dopamine spike? And it's like a cycle. So you get the car, you get the house, now you want the promotion. So you are continuously chasing that external happiness when in fact it's the dopamine rush and that spike that is keeping you on that treadmill, right? There's an experiment with rats which shows that the effect that dopamine had on the rats, right? And we operate similar to rats, it seems, because a lot of the experiments with rats, right? And the rats, they were given the opportunity to press an electrical lever that will spike dopamine into their systems. And they had food and they had their water and everything there, but they totally ignored it. They were just focusing on hitting the lever in anticipation of the next dopamine rush, right? And it was almost like an obsession. And that's the same thing they say happens with us and that dopamine spike. So, in wrapping us, I want us to realize that happiness is not hidden in the purchase of the car, or that happiness is not in the next big dream vacation. Our happiness is right within us. We could regulate our internal happiness thermostat to boost and sustain our happiness throughout our lives. So we don't have to keep chasing the illusion of that external happiness. And happiness is relative. What might be happiness for me may not be happiness for you. That's another thing. Some people say that happiness is just that feeling of comfort. Some says it's a feeling of lasting pleasure. Whatever it is to you, I am saying you try the 40% of the daily actions, habits, and mindset, and you would realize that you could create your own happiness system. What I would like you to do for me is in the comments, share what happiness means to you. Comment, like, and subscribe. Vibes and wisdom with Carla. Until we meet again.